welcome to episode 135 of We the GamerCast. It publishes on iTunes, Google Play, and mother-loving YouTube on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy every single Monday. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the thumbs up. Now is a great time to hit thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, rating us on iTunes and all that great stuff. Guys, it's Saturday as I record this, but now is a good time. I'm feeling great. I just had a chat with Alex from Zoink Games that you're going to enjoy, I promise you. Unless for some reason you have something against Sweden and great people, then you may not enjoy it. But other than that, this is a universally lovable type of episode. Great chat. I can't wait to get to it. But before we do, I want to give a quick thank you to all of our patrons at patreon.com/makeusbetter. It's the reason I'm talking and pointing into a webcam right now. And it's also the reason that the guys from Fluxtapose are going to be back later on with returning guests. We do 6 of these every single month because you guys make us better, especially our platinum executive producer, Corey Hicks, and our back to our gold executive producer status, Mr. Sheldon Benedict from Quest for Pixels, and all of our gentlemen executive producers, Nick from Next Level Games, Joel Brooks, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, handsome Jesse Armstrong, David Ray, Aaron Doherty, Martini Jean, Mr. Moody, and our brand new gentleman executive producer, Dude427. Dude has been hanging out with me in the streams and it's just been an amazing time. I'll get to the streams in just a second, but if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with strangers from the internet. We talk about video games and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you want to be on the show, tweet at me at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery Capri, like the pants. Lincoln is just about to go for a nap, so this is like perfect timing. This is life now, you guys. You have to plan life in 5-minute chunks, and that's probably one of the things I am worst at life in, because if you sat me down in a chair and said, like, guess when 5 minutes has gone up, and even if I were to try and cheat and try and count to 65 times, I'm going to be off. There's no way. And I wonder if you guys are. Tweet at me if you're good at scheduling and knowing 5 minutes or even less. If you've got 3 minutes, because here's the thing. I feel like sometimes I'm walking out the door and I just got to do like 1 or 2 more things before I actually get to my car, and suddenly it's 20 minutes later. Why did that take 20 minutes? My car isn't like one of those weird things where, do you guys put the time 5-10 minutes ahead so that you're early? Or I don't even know what the point of that is, but I've seen a lot of vehicles where the time is just flat out wrong and there's some sort of strategy. I don't know. I'm rambling. Guys, it's been an amazing time on We the GamerCast lately. It's been an amazing time on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. There is streams going up like crazy. Myself, Chelsea, and Chris Berto, one of us is basically on there every single night, it seems. Chelsea's playing some Fallout. Last night she was playing some South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Chris has got Gears of War 4 with Lohr going on over there. I'm playing God knows what. I think I might do some Super Hot. I was playing that last night. Just a little bit of Super Hot. I was not aware, if you guys didn't know, I did know this, the other part I'm not aware of, that it's Games with Gold. It's a free game now if you have Xbox, so that's amazing. I was not aware, however, that the whole the thing that was in the trailer that we all know about, that's like at the end of every level. I was not aware of that. Pretty cool. It's way darker than I thought. I definitely didn't realize there was going to be any story here. Super cool game. Also super hot game. See how easily the dad jokes just roll? Guys, this is amazing. I wanted to let you know that if you haven't told you already, I was on Quest for Pixels with Sheldon Benedict, and it was just this last week. I didn't get Tony there. Tony, I think, is avoiding me, but that's okay. I'll track him down in the Discord. I was actually able to convince Sheldon to buy an Xbox One X. Live on the show, he made the decision, and he hit buy, and it showed up at his house just yesterday. So if you want to check that out, it's just the powers of persuasion. And if any of you guys have been like even considering if you want to jump in on Xbox, it's a good one. It's a good one. I put a lot of the misnomers to rest, and we talk about why it's actually great. It's a good time. Thank you to Sheldon for having me on, and thank you to our new producer. So Sheldon's back as a gold producer, Dude427 as an executive producer, and my good friend, one of the first guests on this show, Joey Ferris, not the No Way Out Forrest, Joey Ferris from Commonwealth Realm, Nuke the Fridge, Game and Talk. Gosh, how many we got 1,000 brands attached to Joey. Good for you, man. Busting is that Sack Anime. So thank you guys for signing up and truly believing in this vision. I hope to have some new things to talk about very, very soon. A lot of stuff behind the scenes. I don't know where I've got time for any of this stuff, but I'm pumped. I'm passionate about it. It's going to be good stuff. Let's see. I wanted to just give you guys a quick update. If you have not been able to tell, I'm feeling great lately. Benjamin, thank you. I won't actually go, I'll just say Benjamin. Benjamin reached out to me earlier this week and he was checking it. I've had a couple people actually just kind of like, hey, how are you, man? And I'm doing great. I'm not even just saying it for the show. I'm doing really, really well. I was, as some of you may know, December sucked. December was awful, and leading into January was pretty tough as well. I started going for therapy a little bit and working on myself, and it has helped so much. I've discovered how helpful exercise is, just getting up and out, and how great that is. I've discovered why writing about video games is in me, because writing in general has also helped. I'm keeping track of and just journaling just thoughts and just getting them out of my head where they're not doing me any good, and I get them out of my head onto paper, and then I walk away, and it's been incredible. Really, really nice. So I've gone from seeing somebody every single week to every 2 weeks to now I'm on monthly. So that's the type of progress I kind of want to see. I was all in on this stuff. So thank you to everybody for a lot of just concern and love and compassion. So thank you to everybody for that. I mentioned the streaming. Why don't we just go right into it, guys? I'm very lucky to get to talk to some great people. Last week we had Donnie Reese. He shared an incredible story. Definitely one of the special episodes, as many of you guys have reached out to me to say. This week we have Alex Dahlberg from Zoink Games. And I feel like we've actually been in contact for many, many years just on Twitter, and a lot of you know her through a lot of her work for Zoink. She's also been on a bit of a circuit. She's been on tour doing a whole bunch of podcasts. You may have heard her on Nintendo Dads and on fellow Make Us Better podcast, The Warp Whistle, with Mark Carabin. I wanted to take a slightly different conversation. I wanted to tackle it just a little bit differently. So if you have heard her on those shows, I'm pretty sure that this is very different. Well, not very. It's not like we go completely off. I'm still talking to the same person. But if you think this is going to be a repeat of those shows, it's not, and it's mainly just to kind of be in line with more about what this show is about. We don't really go too much into promotion or anything. But I wanted to get to know Alex like I want to get to know everybody on the show. So why don't we just get right to it? You can follow her on Twitter at That's Great Alex, one of the greatest Twitter handles on the planet. Here she is, Alex Dahlberg. Yeah, and I spent all the last couple of weeks kind of listening to your tour on the Super Indie podcast, and you're on Nintendo Dads and the Warp Whistle podcast. What else were you on? Did I miss anything? I feel like there must have been. You're on a bit of a tour here.
I think it was those two, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's slowing down a little bit after the Fear release, so getting some time to do this kind of stuff again. So that's fun. I miss like talking to people. It's been a lot of weeks just answering emails, which is my favorite part of the job.
Mm-hmm. And isn't that something that, like, for people who aren't in that sort of line of work, like my wife talks about this a lot. She runs her own business as a photographer, and she'll often say to me, I just have to get through answering emails. And it's like, it's a thing. It's a real thing that you have to, like, most of us just kind of like flippantly answer our emails on our phone or whatever. But you have to be kind and courteous, and it takes time to craft some of these emails. You have to be personalized as well. A lot of people probably asking you for things.
Yes, a lot of asking things, yeah. Mm-hmm. I just recently wrote in my Twitter presentation, I don't take review requests through DMs, you have to email me.
Yep.
Because I can't really bear going onto my personal Twitter and it is filled with 20 unanswered DMs
kidding.
That's work related, and I tweet a lot about work either way, but it's just I just want to keep that in my email inbox.
Well, and the thing is now, maybe it's part of like the growth of Zoink as well, where you can actually say, like, if you want this, like, you kind of have to follow the rules a little bit, whereas maybe in the early days you kind of want to go, I want to get this out to as many people as possible, so whatever channel, I'll be there. But is that sort of is that one of the tangible things that has changed as Zoink has grown over the last, honestly, it seems like it's grown so much just in the last 18 months, but it's been obviously a little longer than that.
Yeah, but it's been a long ride, and really, for me, you can really see a big difference in just it's just the amount of people contacting us has been so much higher. Just the past half a year or something, it's really escalated. And for me, it just because before we just went like, you want a code? Take a code. As many people as that knows of the game as possible. But now we can't really do that, because if we gave a code to everyone asking for one, it wouldn't be such a great business model.
Right?
Then Zoink wouldn't be, because we wouldn't have any money, because we're just giving away our games. So we still try to like support a lot of small podcasters and YouTubers and stuff like that. I feel like I just more go on people who seem to do quality content and seem to like be very engaged in what they do. So it's not like now we only give it to the big YouTubers and the famous streamers. It's more like we have to make some kind of selection.
Is that part of your role there, or are you just part of the conversation, or like how does that decision-making process happen?
With FE, it's been a little bit different, because since EA is publishing the game, they've been handling the biggest chunk of the codes. So I've just been telling people to talk to our contact at EA. So I'm just giving them an email, and then EA just has their own process where they actually look at all the channels and to see if they seem like a good fit for the game, really. So there is a lot. I think they think a lot more than I have the time to do about like, do they do this the right kind of genre? Is it the right kind of people watching this channel?
Right.
So I know a lot of people came back to me like, oh, I didn't get a code and why and stuff like that. And I don't think anyone needs to take it like, oh, your content wasn't good enough or something like that, or your channel wasn't big enough. I just think it's like they really want this perfect match with the kind of content you produced before. So if you just do like FPS games and then ask for a FE code, they're going to be like, no, it's not the right audience. And then,
it's a weird thing, isn't it, of people, I don't know if it's an entitledness or what it is, but like when they come back and say, why didn't I get a code? It's like, well, you just didn't get one. I'm not sure. Like, and I'm sure for you. Yeah, exactly. Maybe next time. And for both sides, it's a fine balance of, it's a relationship. Like neither one side wants to go, well, I'm really sorry I missed you this time, and like I don't want you to hate Zoink forever, or whoever the organization is. And on the YouTuber, the content creator side is like, it's very easy to burn that bridge. Like if you could say, like, because there's thousands of us, there's millions of us, of people creating content, and I'm
starting to realize that just now, and it's just like blowing up.
A lot of us know each other. A lot of us like I've hung out with the Nintendo dads. We've played Catan and Pandemic, played some board games together.
Oh yeah.
When Justin was still in Alberta and Zach is in Edmonton, so him and I are 45 minutes away from each other. We're on like literal opposite ends of the city, actually.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and I've been thinking a lot about him. I messaged him earlier this week. I was like, I actually thought I saw him at a Costco the other day, and I stared intently at this person. I was just like, that's got to be Zach. Like same glasses, same build, haircut, and everything. And the guy turns around. I've met Zach. I definitely I definitely thought it was him, like the real life version. And then this gentleman turns around, sees me just like staring, just like. How do you casually like, I wasn't just staring at you, just kind of do the like, I was trying to read the sign past you.
Some milk.
Yeah, wave at the lady behind him, like, oh hey, try to fake your way out of it. Yeah. So I know that you've been on the circuit, and I don't want to have you repeat too much of, or you know what, the goal is actually not to have you repeat anything.
That's
think
interesting.
I want to talk about Alex, actually. Can I say Alex, or do you prefer Alexandra? I've got Alexandra on the screen.
Alex is fine. It's people never have the time to say Alexandra.
It's my sister-in-law's name, actually. So we've called her.
Oh yeah.
Her boyfriend started calling her Sandy, and she hates it, and he knows that she hates it, so that's why it's a thing.
That's never heard that before. No.
Yeah, or Sandra even. Sandra is actually what. Anyway, I wanted to know actually, because you mentioned something on one of the shows. I think it was the Nintendo Dad's podcast, and I wanted to jump off from there. I had one of those moments that I think a lot of people do when they're listening to a podcast, where they insert and they go like, "Oh, ask this," or like they laugh along with the podcast.
Why don't you ask my questions?
Right? Exactly. I'm like, well, I'll talk to her on Saturday. You had mentioned something about development at Zoink, in that you guys don't have crunch. Where in North America we have this moment in time, these couple weeks before the game launches, and it's like all hands on deck. You're working 27 hours a day somehow. And I was curious if that was a Zoink thing or is that a Sweden thing? Because I was kind of wondering the whole like work ethic, what is a work environment in Sweden? How does it compare to everywhere else in the world?
Yeah. Well, for one, I think that just the general work environment in Sweden is very different to in America.
Mm-hmm.
Just we have shorter days, we have more vacation, we have like 5 weeks paid vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We have like a year and a half paid parental leave, both moms and dads.
Yep.
So.
Oh wow, both of you.
Oh yeah. We have like we can split it any way you want. So a lot of times the mom takes more time because we're still not quite there yet. But like me and the dad of my kid, we just took 9 months or something like that each,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
we have saved some for future years. But so yeah, so just the basic. Just if you start there at the base, it's much more restricted how much you can work and what's okay, and you need to have your overtime pay and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also think that I'm not sure how it is on the AAA side of things in Sweden, like Dyson and Ghost and stuff like that. Because I haven't really worked in that kind of environment. But we still do. Before release, I can't say anything else. It's like a lot of people do overtime, especially the programmers who like sit until the last minute and like fixing small things. But we don't do. At least I hope we don't do most. I can't speak for other studios, but we don't do crunch in the way Americans do crunch. We don't like live at the office for 2 months.
The bed and the pillows are like basically beside the desk, or you're sleeping underneath the desk.
I don't think that's super common. No, we just really try to make sure that doesn't happen, and then there is always like overtime happening at some point, because that's just how it is. You can't really control the development. Something turns up and you have a release date in 1 week, then you have to fix it. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But it's in no way like the stories I've heard from the US about how people work there and just like can't get home to their families at night, just staying at the office and just like sleeping 3 hours on every 24 hours.
It sounds to me like that whole system is based around the family unit, and that's kind of what you're kind of getting at the end, where you can't get home from work to go see your family. But like you said, and Canada is getting there too, I think, for 18 months. I can't remember if it was just after our son was born or if it's still coming, but we were getting to that 18-month. And I've worked with a lot of colleagues in the States too, where I'll know that they're about to have a baby, and they'll say, okay, well, I'll see you in whatever it was. It was like 6 weeks or something crazy like that. It was like,
that's weird.
You're not even supposed to you're supposed to be like laying down for that time, and you're coming back to work after that. And it's working up until like basically the day the baby is born. And so the reason I wanted to like put that into context, and I wanted to get a sense of, I don't know what the analog would be. In America, they would say like it's the American dream would be kind of like wealth, health, and happiness. Like what is like the ideal, what's the picturesque, if there was like a Hollywood version of like life in Sweden? I'm curious of what that is, because I think I want it.
Yeah. Me too. Just a lot of vacation. Staying at home with your kids as long as you want to. Working 6 hours a day or something. That's actually a thing. Like they're trying doing different experiments in different, like especially in nursery homes and stuff like that. That the staff only work 6 hours a day, but they get a full-time pay. Yep. Just because it's like a stressful job and quite a heavy job, and they had a lot of people like being sick all the time, so they just, for an experiment for 1 year, everyone just worked 6 hours a day, and they just took in more staff to fill up the gaps. And it worked really well. They've been continuing doing that because people were healthier, so they didn't have to pay a lot for sick leaves and stuff like that, or rehabilitation, so that like went down. So in the end, it didn't cost the company more. It just made people working there healthier, and it's really interesting to see if they're gonna like make sure that happens in more areas of work, because I think, I don't know, I work a bit quite short days, because I work a bit at nights and stuff from Twitter, and keeping an eye on stuff for weeks and things like that. And I think it's if you work 8 hours like we do here, generally the last 2 hours I'm just quite tired and not really doing anything effective. Mm-hmm. But if I work,
but you're putting in the time.
Yeah, I'm putting in the time. Yeah. But if I work 6 hours, it's like 6 hours where I'm super focused and just doing my job and having energy to do it. And I think that's a big discussion in Sweden, and I think it's going to be a while before everyone is there. But I hope that's the general direction we're going in. The
fact that the conversation is happening just gives a sense of just the environment and landscape for that. I know when my son was born, I took a month off, but I went in every Thursday morning. So I had 4 hours once a week to just like get it done, like whatever, just to make sure nothing was burning down or anything like that. And you can do a surprising amount when you know you've got like limited amount. I guess sort of the fear would be at some point the 6 hours is going to be the 8 hours. And at what point, like, you go, like, 6 hours is a long time. What if we should go to, like, 4? Like, I could understand where that can be a bit of a slippery slope, and you try and balance that. Do you think that, like, what allows Sweden to be that nimble? Is it a population thing, or is it just an attitude that we're just trying to make things better for people living in Sweden?
I hope so. I don't know. I think it's just developed quite organically through time, because we had the same discussion. I don't remember when we went from 10-hour work days to 8 hours, but it was exactly the same discussion. Some people were like, no, you can't just stay at home and do nothing. You need to work, and the country won't work without people working. Mm-hmm. But then we did it, and it just worked out. And the same with like vacation. I just think people are starting to realize that well-rested, happy people, it's good.
Isn't that amazing? It's kind of like that's what people who've been working this whole time have been saying for years and years. It's just like, and anytime anybody gets a chance to take vacation, they come back and they go, holy crap, I'm so refreshed, and that problem that we had before I went on vacation, I've got it solved because I just like I had some sleep, and there's all these other things that just come along with it. Are you able to take 5 weeks? Because I've been at the same place for a number of years, almost a decade actually, which is crazy to think about. And I'm up to 5 weeks, so I've earned now up to 5 weeks of vacation. I can almost never take it. Like, I had a lot built up, and that's why I was able to take a month off when my son was born. But are you guys able to? Is it a thing that you have the time and you just aren't able to get to it, or like it's built into your year round?
No, we need to have it, because it's like the law. So if you don't, you can save it for next year or so. But I don't know, depends where we work, I guess. But I've never had any issues. I just the good thing about working with what I do is I'm not really connected to the team in a way that I need to be at the office for them to make something work. Mm-hmm. So I can generally, as long as we're not releasing a game or anything, I can generally just take vacation time when I need to. Mm-hmm. And it's not an issue because, of course, I work with a team and we work together, but it's not like I'm a programmer and people need me to fix something for them to be able to work, because it's another part of the development. So for me, it's quite easy.
You got a nice sweet spot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Tell me, I don't know if this is even an answerable question, because I think if somebody were to ask me about Canada, I don't know if I could answer it. What is something what's something about Sweden that people don't really know or understand, or even maybe a misconception that they think they know about Sweden that is not true?
Well, we don't have any polar bears.
What?
And we're not Switzerland.
That's hilarious. Okay, that's going to be the title of the show on YouTube. Sweden is not Switzerland. I'll just make a note of that. Thank you.
That's actually something I've met a lot. I thought it was like just a joke in Sweden, but when you go abroad and when I go to PAX or other like kinds of game shows, a lot of people think we're Switzerland and ask about chocolate and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, we don't.
Oh, come on. Okay, so what is Sweden's chocolate then? So when people think of Switzerland, they think chocolate. What do people think about when they think of Sweden?
We just have super salty licorice that no one else can eat.
It's a secret talent.
Yeah,
you guys have.
I'm gonna send you a bag and you'll see.
That sounds okay. We also have a bunch of weird candy and stuff that they don't get in the States. We have I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Kinder Surprise, a little chocolate egg. It's hollow with the toy inside. They banned it in the States because kids were choking on the chocolate.
They have guns, but they can't have Kinder eggs. So
we'll just leave it at that, Alex. I think. What about language? I wanted to talk to you a little bit about language, because I'm fascinated with this, particularly like Western Europe, where you can just like travel 2 hours and go across like a couple of countries and you're talking different languages and all these like are you multilingual? Or like is that a thing in Sweden? Like how does language work across the Scandinavian countries?
Yeah, it's well, Norway, which is closest to us in the west. It's, at least I think, it's really easy to understand Norwegian. I can speak Norwegian, but I can understand it. They have some weird words that you need to like go English to translate. But it's like, I think a lot of other countries would just consider it a dialect of the same language. Danish is a little bit harder. It's like you can understand it in writing, but they're talking like they have a potato in their mouth or something. So it's really hard to like realize what's happening. And all their words kind of just go together. I really enjoy listening to it. It's a really cool language. It's harder to get.
I think that'd be a fun game to do, Alex, where we could go through all of the different languages and say, like, what food is in your mouth when you're speaking? Like, when people speak French, like, what food is in a French person's mouth when they're speaking? That is the funniest comparison I've ever heard.
Yeah, but it's just like, they don't really do a lot of consonants. It's just like...
Just a full mouth, just... Ah.
Yeah. Okay. But then you just have Finland, which is just there is no resemblance at all. So it's more related to the language of like Estonia and stuff. So you don't really get. But a lot of people in Finland also speak Swedish. So because I was gonna say everybody's in fairly close proximity. So like, how often are you coming into contact with each other? And you're just like, I can't understand you, or I'm sure there's a little bit crossover in language. Do you go back and forth? I'm always curious to that because it just doesn't happen here. Like the closest thing would be in Quebec, which is actually Mark is fairly close. He's way closer to Quebec than I am. And they treat you like crap if you don't speak the language. They really just hate you, even if you're trying. It's not even a nice thing. We haven't figured out how to be, even though we've got French and English on all of our labels and everything. We are legally a bilingual country, but we don't know how to mix and match. Can't do it.
I think Europe is a little better. You guys have been doing it a little longer as well.
Yeah, I think it's more like, as always, there's a lot of ideas of this is what Swedes are like, and this is what Norwegians are like. And a lot of Swedes go to Norway to work because they have a much higher salary and you earn a lot more money there. And Swedes have kind of been known for being super service-minded in Norway. So Swedes have all like the service jobs because apparently we're nice or something.
That is the one thing I would have thought is like when you say like what is the chocolate for, I would think like you guys are just nice.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Norwegians are super nice too, so I don't know where that comes from. But so it's like if you go to Norway, a lot of people in stores and stuff are Swedes. So there's a lot of like exchanging workers like that, especially in Norway, Sweden, because it's just a lot of people just live along the border and you just go back and forth. So like the Norwegians come to Sweden to shop because it's cheaper. And we go there to work because you get more money.
Oh, that totally makes sense. What a nice relationship. That totally works out. Do people in Sweden love heavy metal as much as in Norway? Is there as much of a deeper
I'm not like super into it myself, but a lot of people do. And we have a lot of like metal festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's I remember we watched actually in a sociology class back in college. We watched literally, it was all about the different subsects of heavy metal and how it like manifests in the world. And I remember just being fascinated with everything that's happening over in Norway. I'm like, I had no idea that this was even a thing. I need to get over to see you guys, to be honest with you. I'm really, really quite fascinated with the Scandinavian countries, even more so than, I think that has more of a draw for me than kind of the typical European, like when North Americans experience Europe. It's kind of they think they're doing it in a really unique way, but it's very cookie cutter. Like, I'm going to get my backpack.
In what way is that?
I think I'm just going to, like, I'm going to grab my backpack. I'm going to have, like, two T-shirts and a pair of pants, and I'm going to try and make this work. And they're probably doing, like, the exact, they're staying in the exact hostels. They're staying in, the path is the same, but they
do Italy, they do Greece.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Greece was amazing. And you see all the pictures. They come back with that same hillside. with the blue rooftops and everything. I wanted to talk to you, Alex, a little bit about. I'm going to go back to Zoink, but from a different angle, because the perspective and my observation is that you guys are very. This goes back to the family unit. You guys do seem like a family, and often I have to remind myself that you're not related, and it's not like a Sweden thing. It's not like well, if you're in Sweden, you guys must all be coming from like the same heritage or the same family. You do remind me of the way that Studio MDHR works, though, like the way that you sort of present yourselves and you're homegrown is very much like the team that made Cuphead, and they are Studio MDHR. Is like, for those who don't know, is sort of like a shorthand for that name. It's a mouthful of a name, Moldenhauer. But the way that I sort of have always looked at Zoink and the Image and Form, actually, but maybe less so for them, that like you guys are just our family. So is it like that working with everybody, or is it a little bit more business like what is it like? And how did you get into Zoink?
I actually got into Zoink, if I start on that end, through Image and Form in a way.
Oh wow!
I went to school with Julius, who is the community manager at Image and Form, and when we finished school, he did his internship at Image and Form, and started working there. And Klaus from Zoink, my boss, was like, that seems like a good thing to have someone who does all those things. Someone who tweets professionally and stuff. So he was like, do you know someone who can do this for Zoink? And he was like, yeah, I think so. Maybe Alex wants to do it. And so he asked me if do you want to work with video games? And I was like, I love video games. Yes, please. I can work with that. And I hadn't really thought of it as a viable career option, really, because when I was younger, I had this dream, oh, maybe I could do video games, but I didn't know in what end to start, so I just dropped it in some way. But then this opportunity just came up, and I'm like, yeah, thank you. And the interview went great, and I met with Klaus and Michael, and I just got the job the next day, and and then we were off. Is
that pretty normal? That seems very Hollywood. That seems very TV. Of I got the interview, and then I got I don't know about you, or if there's other experiences you've had. I've definitely been through the whole. You send in your resume, you wait. I've waited 6 weeks for a job I actually got, and I waited a long time, and then the interview happens, and you wait. But this is what everybody dreams of when they go into an interview, because you just want to know, did I get it or not? Even if I don't get it, I'd rather know now than wait 4 weeks and figure out then.
Yeah, I think actually at Zoink, I think Klaus really, he kind of hires with he goes a lot of his stomach feeling, I think, with his guts, and I think he said that he felt like I had a good energy, and
I'd hire you.
Sure. What jobs?
I have no money. This is what I'm hiring you for.
I know that they didn't really interview anyone else. They just met me, and they felt like I had ideas for what I wanted to do, and I seemed to be interested in what Zoink did, and so they just, let's do a trial run. We have a period of, is it 6 months or so in Sweden, where you can just get a job, but then they can ask you to stay or go after that without any really explanation.
Totally.
But I got to stay, fortunately.
What game was coming out around then? What era of Zoink is this?
It was pre-Zombie Vikings, so we were in the last phases of finishing Zombie Vikings when I got there. So one of the first thing I did at Zoink was record some kind of video where people threw cereal boxes at me because we were
Yes, I've seen that one. Yep, that's so funny.
It was the second day at work or something.
No way. See, this is the family thing. That seems like something you do with your family. You've known each other for a long time. That's what I'm talking about. That's so funny.
I really have kind of that family. I get that feeling because I've never worked at a place like Zoink where I really feel like everyone is just friendly and friends with each other, and we do a lot of stuff like karaoke yesterday together after work, and we go to the movies and just hang out a lot. So I think that's super nice. It's just, of course, you need to stay professional as well and just not hang around chatting with your friends at work all day. But I think we managed to pull it off.
I think so as well. I am completely just in awe, and I think anybody who's like frustrated with their job is just they're just oozing with jealousy right now, because it sounds like you guys have this incredible balance of friendship and fun and professionalism, and then at the end of the day you get to make these incredible games that you can be so proud of standing beside and showing to the world.
And I should say, of course, we have a lot of frustration and issues at work, like all other workplaces, because that's always going to be a thing.
Yeah, of course.
And we always try to do better and learn from past experiences. But it's just, if you have that like comfort of feeling like you all like work towards a common goal, and that you like each other and you want everyone's games to do well, I think that's a good start to have.
Is there a cycle that you've identified with in terms of that, where maybe it's at the beginning, everybody's like, every idea is great, this thing is going to be amazing, and then you sort of get to like certain parts within the development of the game where things maybe get a little bit more tense, and then like is that a thing? Is there a roller coaster ride that you can identify?
Well, yeah, for me at least, and I think for a lot of people, it's like when you've been working with one game for a long time, you get so sick of it.
Yep, just get it out.
I don't wanna say a word more about this game.
Mm-hmm,
it's like, okay, I'm gonna tweet about it. What can I say?
I'm so tired of telling people how to say this. It's 2 letters. Figure it out. My God, I don't even want to bring up the. You need like a line under it so that you can. Anyway, I don't even want to talk. I can imagine how many times you've had to correct people, or even like, so how do you say, as if they're asking you for the first time, how do you say it?
That's actually still quite fun, just hearing people's people's guesses on how it should sound.
That's really funny. I had a boss. I was in sales before, and I had a boss tell me how, like, because we would have a lot of repetition in our jobs as well, of explaining the difference between this and that and everything else. And he reminded us of our favorite. He brought up Bon Jovi, which is hilarious because it gave you a sense of what kind of person he was. Like locked in the 80s. He was like hair bands and everything. He was talking about Bon Jovi sings the same songs every single night. He's been doing it since like 1987. So think about, and he does it with like as if he's singing it for the first time. Yeah. And I think about that anytime that there's repetition in delivering a message in anybody's job. I think about that. As weird as I don't want to think about Bon Jovi necessarily. I try to like maybe like modernize it a little bit. You know, Bruno Mars, whatever the kids are thinking these days. But I was thinking of that when I've heard you explain how to say the name of the game so many times. I'm like, oh, you do it so well. You definitely, maybe you've heard the Bon Jovi story.
Yeah. I'm going to think about Bon Jovi from now on.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, the good thing is like you always like get back on it. You always have the ups and downs. And when you're getting close to release, then you really start to get excited again. Like, nice. Play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just remember how cool this game is. I've just been seeing it every day for 2 years, so I don't really realize it anymore. But then you maybe getting some testers or something trying out the game, you see someone else playing it and getting excited about it, and like in fair just meeting the small deer for the first time, and they're like, oh, so cute, oh! And then you get just as excited as them because you kind of forgotten about that feeling for the game, and then it just comes back bubbling up. So that's always really fun. And then when the game is out and you see people writing about it and discussing it, and like I love reading like Reddit topics on what's Fear really about.
Oh yeah.
Discuss, like what the fuck was that? Mm-hmm. I don't understand anything. Has anyone got like explanation? And that's just fun to see where people's minds go. You've got them now though, and I remember you mentioning that on one of the shows too. And I was thinking that you guys have people in the palm of your hands. You could make a complete nonsense game that it has no meaning whatsoever, and you'll just set Reddit on fire of like, what's the meaning? Like they'll look for things. I always had a lot of trouble in like English comprehension, like reading classes, where we read a book and they'd be like, this is the symbolism the author meant, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, how do you like? I get the interpretation part of it. Like, maybe you can pull that out, but how do you know that that's what the author? I always think that's a tricky thing. You of course have the inside scoop of what is canon, but I'm sure you guys won't let that cat out of the bag for any of the things. Yeah, we actually had to write down the story for Fear in a document recently because we were applying for this European Union grant for upcoming title. Mm-hmm. And there was actually some things that even I didn't know. I was like writing it down, and then I talked to one of the people involved with story, and I'm like, is this correct? Yeah, they're like, yeah, you missed this super important part here. And I was like, oh, okay. even I don't know the whole story
right?
apparently. So, so and I like that it's like up to everyone to interpret for themselves. It's I don't think the game would win anything on us like making a blog post like this is what it's about, because then we just write people on the nose.
Right.
It's better people have their own experience, and that's what we hope they will enjoy.
Have you? I wanted to jump quickly to a bit of the PR side, and then I want to talk. You said you love video games, and I definitely wanted to get into where that comes in for you. That's what binds us all. We can talk about worldly things and things that affect us in our day to day, but ultimately it is video games that bind us together. I was wondering if you've had anything in your experience with Zoink or just in your professional career that was like, not even like a PR nightmare, but you're kind of like, oh, this is gonna be a challenging. Like, what's a tough day in PR? If I understand, like volume is a thing, but like no, there's no scandals at Zoink. There's nothing like that. And I'll point to one specific example, because you guys are bound to EA in this sort of like weird relationship that nobody understands, but I actually think is pretty clear and kind of amazing. But the Video Game Awards there's a moment in the Video Game Awards that everybody knows with Joseph Fares and talking about EA in a particular way, and he has a similar relationship with EA. Was there any spillover for you guys at all? Was there any discussions of what that might mean for Zoink in your relationship with EA? How did that? You probably watched along with the rest of us, going, "Oh goodness!" And you always had that PR hat on.
Yeah. I actually didn't hear about that until the next day. I think I don't remember if I was still parental leave when that happens, or time zones or whatever. But I heard about it afterwards, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
We weren't really worried about that making a mark on us or anything. But of course it's been a lot of discussion, like people asking us, why do you work with EA, and why do you go to bed with the devil and everything?
Yeah, and I don't even want to put that out there. Honestly, I think that's all garbage. I think that's not even. No, I don't like that at all.
It's just a lot of, but that's something we've been getting a lot, and like from social media and stuff. But we just I haven't really. I actually thought we would get even more reactions, but I think that people have been. I don't know. I think we've had just a quite easy ride. With just since I started at Zoink, with just like criticism or people bashing us for stuff. There's always some people who are angry or try to be mean or whatever. Sure. But even when we released Zombie Vikings and there was a lot of issues with like bugs and stuff, that was a quite stressful time for sure. There were a lot of emails with bug reports and people asking why we released a game that wasn't finished, and etc. etc. And I think that was by far more stressful than any of the things surrounding the original Steel has been. Right. Because that was because that also affected the reviews. And that was quite rough on everyone who had worked on the game for so long and put so much time and effort into it. And then we just got caught in an external deadline that we couldn't control, and we didn't have the option to push the game, even though we wanted to. And that was kind of a hard spot to be in for everyone. And we just had to sit and like make a day one patch and a day two patch and everything, and just trying to fix it. But when the game is out, it's out, and it's very hard to repair that after like a day or two. Yeah. So
I think you guys do a really nice job of, and this is really, I think, on you. You have a really nice way of presenting a very wholesome type of organization that it's really hard to be angry. It's easy to be angry at like the evil corporation, the EA, it's like the faceless, nobody knows who this is, and it's a giant building that you're really mad at. But I think it's hard to be really to sustain anger towards a group of people who just are so nice and like who are genuinely like they feel like they've connected with you, whether it's personally on Twitter or through the games. I don't know if that's something that I think it's just, from my perspective, my observation is that it is innate in the family unit that you guys have created, and that emanates across the world. And which is one of the last things I wanted to ask you about the PR cycle, and you kind of touched on it with the time zones things of, we were all watching the video games here, and of course, just for a moment, because you're so connected with everybody all the time, how are you doing that? The world is enormous, and there are so many time zones. Like Mark and I are 4 hours away, and it's like, how are we gonna have a conversation? And you're having conversations with thousands of people all the time. How do you manage that?
I wonder that myself.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
I feel like I still try to work out how I can do that better, because right now I mainly focus on doing my job when at daytime for me, like 9 to 5. But I also every night before I go to bed check Twitter and like try to answer comments and stuff. And since I wake up quite early with my kid who wakes up quite early, I actually managed to like cover most people. Most people are awake at some time during the time I'm awake. So it usually works out. Sometimes I've done some podcasts at really unreasonable hours, like 5 in the morning.
Oh, goodness.
Horrible. But usually it works out quite fine. And sometimes when we are in the US doing PAX and GDC and whatnot, we always have managed to connect with people from the US more, and then we do things in Europe and just try to spread out as good as we can. But
and are you flying out soon?
Yeah, it's PAX in just a few weeks, 3 weeks,
my goodness
I think.
Gracious.
And Klaus is on his way to GDC right now. So
okay, that's what I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess the basis of the question before we move off of it was I was trying to get a sense of the level of interest and interaction. Is it heavily based in North America? Is it spread across? Like, is there a lot of interest and a lot of what? I guess the main question is what is gaming like on your side of the world? Like, is it? Yeah. It's very preeminent here. It's very prevalent and in your face. But I don't know if that's the case everywhere.
Yeah, I think if you look at the sales for our games and stuff, it's definitely North America is one of our biggest markets. Yeah. But also Europe, and especially like Germany and France and Sweden, of course, because we're from here. But it's like and United Kingdom as well. Okay. But I don't really think there's that big of a difference actually, and that's what I noticed from my perspective. Like it feels like the same things work similarly in both areas, and we get the same kind of support, same type of criticism from all over really. Some areas are more like harder when it comes to reviews and stuff because there are more scammers and stuff like that. Right. But generally, I think I don't know if we're just super lucky, but I think people are just super nice and supportive wherever we go, kind of.
Yeah, and I think that I want to.
It's not an interesting answer, but it's true.
No, that's okay. But it does prompt my mind to sort of like explore this, and maybe I kind of want to do a little bit of research or conversation with some people, because I wonder if, when you talk about reviewers, if people in Sweden are reviewing from a particular perspective, they have to be bringing their own personal experience. This is just how a review happens. They have their own biases and preferences that are based on a lifetime of games and experiences and what brings them joy and satisfaction. So how does that, and I don't expect, like, this is more of a rhetorical kind of like exploration, hopefully prompting questions in other people's minds too, of, if the same game gets reviewed in North America as it does in China, as it does in Japan and Sweden, what does that person, sort of as a small microcosm of that culture, what is like most important to them? Is it gameplay? Is it story? Is it art? Is it something else? I think that is super interesting, and I don't know, maybe it takes stepping out of our backyard to think of it that way, because of course that question could be asked for games that are developed here in my backyard. Like BioWare is here making games for a worldwide audience, and you guys are making games for a worldwide audience. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah,
and actually Asia is actually where I can see a difference. Partly because we haven't really released that many games in, say, Japan and stuff. Because when we've been talking to publishers and like presenting, say, Flipping Death or Stick to the Man, they're like, this is too culturally influenced by the US and Europe. This is like, people won't get the references, people won't get the jokes. Yep. So for our very like dialogue-based games, that has been like a reason not to publish them there, because it's just the advice we've been giving, that this is the wrong kind of market for this game.
Yeah.
Fear, on the other hand, is quite universal in a different way. And we did. I'm really curious to see how that goes in, say, Japan, because that's a new market for us, and we don't really know what to expect at all, really. So it's going to be interesting to see.
That is, oh man, I'm so glad we got to explore this a little bit, because I now wonder, maybe Alex, we'll talk in another year or two, and you guys are, maybe now, does that shift any of the decision making too, where that is maybe why people don't like an EA of the world, or like the big corporation, because they start to play on the things that they know about particular markets and research and all this gross stuff that actually define what the game is or what's in it, instead of going, this is what's in my heart and this is what I make, which is of course what everybody loves about games, is that it's that personal reflection. And I think that's, what an interesting, this is amazing, Alex. I don't want to take up your entire evening. I'll let you.
No, it's fine.
I'll let you get to the family, as we've talked about. But let's talk about how
I'm family free this weekend, so I'm just
lucky,
chilling out.
As we say, how amazing family is. Just like, oh God, thank goodness, a weekend away. How did video games enter your life? Like, where, because you're a self-proclaimed nerd.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah. So like, what's your nerd cred?
What's my what?
It's this funny thing of like, sometimes I'll talk to people who are really into Dungeons and Dragons, and like that's their ultimate like nerd credit. That's how they earn their nerd badge of approval, kind of thing. So I'm wondering, like, where did that come in for you?
Oh, I was gonna say, well, I think the first time I remember even playing video games was like playing at my neighbor's house on his. I'm not sure. I think it was a Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Actually, but then the first console that I got for myself was a Sega Mega Drive, or you call it something else, right?
I think it was a Mega Drive. I never had one. I wasn't allowed to have consoles, so I was in the family that I did the exact same thing. I played video games for the first time at my neighbor's house too.
Yeah.
His name is Neighbor Matt.
Oh, Neighbor Matt.
Yep.
But so I got that, and I got a Spider-Man game for that, but it was like a great day and a sad day because the game was broken. So I just had this Mega Drive and nothing to play on it.
Oh no, like the game, it's like the cartridge wouldn't work?
Yeah, it didn't work. So that was my first experience of video games. Wasn't a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
But I worked my way up from there. And me and my dad used to play like Sonic the Hedgehog and a lot. And I think it was a lot better at platforming games at that time than I am now, because I just had so much time and patience as a kid that I don't have anymore.
How did your dad get involved? And actually, I don't know the family unit. Like, were you sharing it with brothers or sisters, or like what was that like?
I had a little sister.
Yeah.
At the time, and then my mom and dad is split up when I was like 7. So then I got some extra siblings, to play with, some more video game partners.
Nice.
And so that was my first video game, and then we got we kept that until we got the Nintendo 64, which was like, wow.
That was the thing. Okay, there we go. That
was a big that's what, like, when I remember getting like super hooked and really thinking like, oh, this is my thing. Mm-hmm. This is what I do now. Mm-hmm. Just playing Diddy Kong Racing and Pokemon Snap.
Oh, that's so great. I love hearing like not Mario 64 and not like GoldenEye or whatever else. I
didn't even own Mario 64 or GoldenEye, but my brothers did. When we moved in together, when our parents met, they had one Nintendo 64 and we had another one, so we just merged our collections.
Oh my god,
so
that's amazing.
That's when I first played Mario 64. Yeah. What else did we play? I don't remember. I just have so many memories of Diddy Kong Racing.
How old were you about when that was happening? Like what? Like you're coming home from school?
When did that release? N64.
It would have been 96, 94,
okay,
96.
so I was about like 8 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that.
Yeah. So we're very close. Because the reason that I asked that is because I feel like you have a completely different experience with video games depending on where in your life you are. So if you're at school and all you want to do is just like get home and play that put on the 64, it is totally different. And you are of the age where discovering that 4-player multiplayer is like the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that was the greatest thing about having like my new siblings when my dad met his new girlfriend was like telling me we're 4 kids, so we had 4 people to play with all the time, and that was just a lot of fun.
Did you guys have all different color controllers and everything like that?
Unfortunately not. We had 1 yellow and 3 gray, so that was a bummer.
That's so funny. Oh, I just love it. Thank you for your time, Alex. I know that we both actually have families, so why don't we shut it off right there? Why don't we tell everybody, as if they don't already know, where they can find you on Twitter and all the great things that you're working on, anything that you want to let anybody know about. Now is your chance.
Oh yeah, amazing. Self-promotion.
Yeah, right?
Well, starting at Zoink, you can just follow us all over the place. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Zoink Games. Same everywhere. And if you want to follow me personally, I'm mostly on Twitter. So you can find me at That's Great Alex. That's my handle. And that's mostly it. I'm not really super active otherwise anywhere. So check me out there, and I'll be happy to talk about whatever.
I think Twitter is enough, Alex.
Yeah.
I think Twitter is it's enough. There's too many Snapchats and Instagrams and everything. There's a lot. There's enough to do on Twitter.
I just feel old on Snapchat. I don't know how to behave.
You and me both. I have there is a Sean Capri on, and it is me. I don't know what. There's also a Sean Capri on Instagram. I don't know how to do any. I know Instagram. I just don't take enough. I don't like my camera. I don't like my phone for my wife's phone takes much better pictures than my. I don't think iPhones take the greatest pictures, but.
Well, we have a group a group chat on. Do you even call it a chat on Snapchat for Zoink? For Zoink people. But I always feel like some of people there are also young and cool and know how to use this kind of new technology media, and I'm like, is this what I just don't want to, I don't know the etiquette around it.
I feel like I need to learn it though, because I don't want to, my parents don't understand a lot of the stuff, and it's so frustrating to try and explain this is how you just open up Facebook. They're like, oh, I don't have Facebook, and I don't want to get to that point, but I feel myself getting there. So Lincoln surely will just hate me for not knowing the technology that he'll be using. So
I'm sure.
Alex, thank you so much for your time today. I wish you all the best and hopefully some rest after a long road here.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you to Alex. Holy crap. From Zoink Games. I feel like I might have been a little too mindful of time. Is that even a thing? I wanted to make sure that we locked that down in a particular amount of time, and I wanted to let her kind of get back to things. But I don't know if I feel this might be even over Canadian. I feel like I owe Alex an apology. I felt short. So I'm sorry if it came off a certain way. It definitely was not my intention. I was very grateful to have that conversation with you and to spend that time with you. Sometimes I just don't know. I don't know if okay, here's the other end of the spectrum. When I talked to Jason Lacey, I know I'm in for a 3-hour chat. I just wasn't sure what availability, what the expectation, what maybe. I don't know, guys. Thank you to Alex, of course, at That's Great Alex, the greatest Twitter handle on the planet. The music, how could I not use Diddy Kong Racing from OC Remix? That was Diddy Kong Racing, Diddy Kong Lao Party over at ocremix.org. That just put me back in a nice little mood. I was dancing a little bit, the chair dancing, not real dancing. I don't know how to really dance. I was just kind of bipping and bopping. Guys, I want to let you know that there's a great contest happening at the Trophy Room, the podcast made by the players for the players with Mr. Badbit himself, Joseph. Joseph Moran making that podcast. He's going to give away a copy of God of War. You got to review that show. Don't review this show. Actually, I told you at the start, thanking everybody for doing that. Thank you. But don't do that today. Go over to the Trophy Room, rate it, send him a pic at Mr. Badbit. You can win a copy of God of War. I kind of hope that I win. Not going to lie, I wouldn't even care how that looks. We're friends. Joseph, you put me in that damn contest, and I want to win that damn game because I ain't no PlayStation hater. I just hate that I can't change my name. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. The show is We the GamerCast. The website is We the Nerdy. You may also enjoy my other shows. If We Ran Nintendo every week, every Wednesday, youtube.com/We the Nerdy, iTunes, Google Play, new guests. Next week, we're going to have Joe After Work and NintenTalk, Mr. Patrick himself. Guys, it's going to be amazing. Good week. Also, the Xbox Drive I record while I drive to work. I talked to my good friend Dave Moore. That's on iTunes and all the rest. Is that even worthwhile saying? Thank you to our artists, Gary Gray and Adam Leonard. Adam, we need to talk about some stuff. Antonio Guillen, our video designer. And Dave Moore for the Day Space Network. Remember, no, there's no more things to remember. Otherwise, this is episode 135. We the GamerCast now in your ears. I hope you'll be back next week. Thank you for listening. I'm going to be back next week. You want to press X for Jason? Boop.
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!